A rainy night city, neon lights reflected on slick asphalt, umbrellas everywhere. Then a lone man walking down the empty wet street, head slightly bowed, rain pouring around him. He's in a reflective, melancholic mood, wondering about his future, imagining what his life will be like when he grows old. The man stands in the rain, lost in thought as past voices echo in his mind, people once congratulating him for his achievements, praising him as the pride of his parents. He quietly wonders about his future. Will he die alone in a hospital bed, or grow old surrounded by family, with a loving wife and children? A sweet memory surfaces, a girl once cheerfully told him. Chen-chi. When we graduate, let's get married, okay? It's a moment of deep reflection, between past promises and future uncertainty. He continues questioning his fate, imagining a darker possibility this time. Will he end up homeless, abandoned by everyone? Memories of college echoes return, people praising his talents. Others admired how he was full of achievements and job offers while they struggled. Someone even said the gap between him and others felt impossibly wide. Despite all the uncertainty and fear, he reaffirms one thing with certainty. No matter what happens, the future will come. I will grow old. I've never doubted that. He walks alone through the rain, just when he firmly believed the future would come. An accident happens before that future ever arrives. The scene shifts to his sorrowful face. He reveals. My name is Chen-chi. I was full of hope for the future, but now, I'm about to die. A sudden, tragic turning point, his future is being cut short before it can even begin. A young man is diagnosed with terminal late-stage brain cancer. The doctor tells him he has less than a year left to live. Stepping out alone into the pouring rain, he reflects on his shortened future, wishing simply to live long enough to die naturally of old age like anyone else. In the background, someone's voice warns him not to do anything reckless. He questions the warning, reckless? As he walks alone into a narrow, rainy alley. The scene zooms out dramatically to a high rooftop view of the city, suggesting he's heading somewhere dangerous or making a decisive move despite being told not to. The mood is tense and foreshadows a bold, possibly life-risking action. A crazed man grabs a woman in an alley, screaming that he'll be reckless with anything, even threatening to kill her right now to prove it. He's unhinged, consumed by despair and rage, while the woman is helpless and in danger as he lashes out violently. A tense fight breaks out in the rain. A man with dark hair is attacked by a larger opponent holding a weapon. The dark-haired man quickly retaliates, grappling his attacker and flipping him powerfully through the air. With determination on his face, he yells, "Call the police," as he overpowers the assailant and slams him to the ground. A frightened woman, trembling and clutching her phone, agrees to call for help, saying, Okay. Meanwhile, the injured man from the previous fight, blood trickling from his mouth, looks up with fierce determination. He sits on the ground, glaring as his defeated opponent lies motionless nearby, showing the aftermath of their intense struggle. The large attacker, enraged and holding a weapon, confronts the younger man under the pouring rain, shouting, "Who told you to meddle?" Despite his injuries, the younger man kneels on the ground, clutching his chest but glaring back with defiance. The attacker charges at him again, screaming the same words in fury, showing his complete loss of control. The fight intensifies as the young man narrowly dodges the attacker's wild swings. Bloodied but alert, he realizes the danger of the situation and thinks, "No. I need to find a way to restrain him." However, as he stands in the rain, breathing heavily, he grows increasingly worried, admitting to himself, "Oh no, this is bad," aware that he's running out of options. The young man is stabbed in the chest by his attacker but remains standing, grimacing in pain. Despite the fatal wound, he reflects internally, thinking that even though he had lost all hope, saving someone before dying might give his life meaning, a purpose greater than dying in silence. The wounded young man collapses in the rain as blood splatters on the ground. In his thoughts, he laments his failure, realizing he couldn't save anyone and likely wasted the remaining year of his life. He clenches his teeth in regret and pain, reflecting on the futility of his sacrifice as the rain pours down around him. As the attacker raises his weapon for a killing blow, the young man steadies himself and internally rejects the despair, thinking, "How ridiculous." Summoning his remaining strength, he grabs the attacker's arm mid-strike and declares to himself, "No. As long as I'm not dead, it's just a crisis. There's always a way out." His determination reignites as he prepares to fight back once more. The young man, despite the dire situation, refuses to give up. With determination in his eyes, he declares that no matter how hopeless things seem, whether it's his current fight or his illness, there's always a way to overcome. As he clashes with his enemy in the rain-soaked alley, his resolve burns brighter, symbolizing his unyielding will to survive and fight back. A sudden, mysterious event occurs. Both the protagonist and his opponent are shocked as something unexpected happens. The protagonist feels a strange power activating and looks down in disbelief, asking what's happening to him. Moments later, as light bursts around them, he realizes with astonishment and relief that his plan or ability has succeeded, exclaiming, "It worked." The man with the hoodie exclaims in triumph, shouting that he has finally succeeded. Below, the protagonist and a woman land roughly on separate platforms after falling from above. Despite the chaos, it's clear that the mysterious event worked, saving them from a fatal fall. A man is falling from a great height. Panicked, he thinks to himself that he needs to grab onto something before he falls any further, realizing that if he keeps falling, something terrible will happen. The panels emphasize his desperation and the danger of the situation as he plummets toward the ground. A man shouts, "No," as the entrance he came through suddenly disappears. He looks around, confused and alarmed, realizing he's trapped in a strange, industrial-looking place filled with pipes and machinery. Bewildered, he wonders to himself, "What is this place?" indicating he's been transported somewhere unfamiliar and possibly dangerous. The man finds himself in a bizarre, inverted city where everything is upside down. He looks around in disbelief, questioning how such a place could even exist. Confused and uneasy, he wonders if there's any way for him to escape this strange, impossible world. The man is suddenly surrounded by a dark, ominous aura that seems to radiate power. Blood drips from his mouth as he stares intensely at a glowing orb marked with the symbol of a spade and the number 3. The scene shifts to a woman watching him with a surprised yet emotional expression, suggesting she recognizes or is moved by what's happening. The man is engulfed by a dark, powerful energy with the symbol of the spade and the number 3 at its core. The force propels him forward with immense strength, crashing him violently into the side of a building. The impact shatters the wall, emphasizing the overwhelming power of the dark aura surrounding him. Bloodied and determined, faces off against the strange dark entity marked with the spade symbol and the number 3. Holding a glowing knife, he shouts in confusion and fear, "What the hell is that thing?" The monstrous being looms over him menacingly, its eerie form emphasizing the danger and mystery of the encounter. The dark creature disintegrates into glowing blue particles, seemingly defeated. The man, bloodied and breathing heavily, watches in disbelief and questions if it's truly over, saying, It's dealt with? That was easy." As the glowing energy spirals around him, he remains cautious, unsure if the danger has really passed. The glowing blue energy condenses into a black playing card marked with the 3 of spades. The man picks it up cautiously, examining it as it glows in his hand. Suddenly, the card shatters into pieces, releasing dark energy that wraps around his body. The scene ends with him kneeling, surrounded by swirling black power, hinting at a transformation or new ability awakening. The man's body begins to heal rapidly as blue energy surrounds him. A robotic voice announces, "Body injuries repaired. Life data conversion successful. Remaining lifespan, -1. Confused, he looks around and wonders where the voice is coming from, questioning what life data conversion means. It's clear something mysterious and possibly dangerous has just happened to him. Blue energy surges through the man's arm, forming the symbol of the 3 of spades on his hand. A voice announces, Spade, 3, has been converted into your lifebound card. Lifespan increased. Current remaining lifespan, -1. Before he can process what's happening, a powerful force suddenly pulls him backward, hurling him through the air toward a wall. The world around the man shifts back to normal, and a glowing exit appears. Realizing he can finally leave, he prepares to escape. As he reflects on the mysterious message from before, he wonders, lifespan 1? Does that mean I can live 1 more year, suggesting that his survival is now tied to this strange, lifespan, system. The man realizes that because the special card became his lifebound card, he didn't gain additional lifespan. He deduces that if he obtains a different special card, his lifespan might increase. With renewed determination, he thinks that this could be the key to delaying his illness and surviving, holding on to the faint hope of extending his life. Learns from his doctor that his brain cancer has stopped worsening. Previously told he only had 1 year left to live, he's now told he can survive until next year, confirming an improvement. Looking at the glowing 3 of spades mark on his hand, he realizes it might be due to the lifespan data conversion, confirming that everything he experienced was real. The man searches online for information about his mysterious experience. To his surprise, he finds a large amount of strange and varied information. From his research, he discovers that the inverted zone he encountered is actually known as the mirror world. He reads online discussions about the inverted zone, learning that it's filled with poker monsters and mirror cards that can grant lifespan and superpowers. Some users share their experiences, confirming the strange things he went through. He discovers that his own lifebound card has the ability, Simulation of Foresight, which allows him to predict the future once daily, but each extra use costs 1 lifespan. He finds the explanation confusing but intriguing. He decides to test his new power, thinking he has nothing to lose since he gets 1 free use each day. He activates Simulation of Foresight, and a powerful energy pulse radiates from his apartment building as the ability begins to take effect. He activates his foresight ability, initially skeptical but curious. As the power begins to work, he feels a mix of excitement and nervousness, wondering if superpowers are truly real. Suddenly, something unexpected happens, making him urgently shout, "Wait," in surprise. After activating his foresight ability, the protagonist notices something strange, all the sounds from outside have completely disappeared. The city streets are eerily silent and empty, signaling that something unusual or supernatural is happening around him. He realizes that everyone around him has vanished and wonders if a simulation has begun without his knowledge. As he observes the empty, distorted city, he questions what kind of simulation this could be. It feels more like being placed in a deserted world. He begins to suspect that the simulation might be recreating something entirely different. He notices mysterious black smoke pillars rising throughout the empty city, phenomena that don't exist in reality. He approaches the tallest one located at the commercial tower in H city center, recognizing it as the largest smoke pillar and possibly the key to understanding what's happening. He decides that the answer to the mysterious phenomenon must be inside the largest smoke pillar and confidently tries to enter. However, he is immediately stopped by a system message, "Access denied, insufficient level." Frustrated, he realizes he's not yet strong enough to proceed. He wonders if the level restriction preventing him from entering the tower is based on his lifebound card's level. He decides to test smaller locations in different ring zones around the city. However, each attempt ends in failure. Every zone denies him access, indicating his level is still too low to enter any of them. He reaches a warehouse in the suburbs, realizing that the closer to the city center, the larger the smoke pillars, and his current level only allows access to the smaller ones. Accepting there's no shortcut, he explores further and finds a gun, noting that the simulation world contains everything except people. He cautiously enters the warehouse to investigate. Discovers what appears to be an entrance to the inverted zone inside the warehouse. He theorizes that the areas covered by smoke pillars might actually represent the inverted zones themselves. Determined to explore further, he confidently decides, let's go in. He enters the inverted zone and is immediately attacked. As he regains his footing, he spots a mechanical creature with a glowing heart-shaped 6 symbol above its head. Realizing what it is, he identifies it as a poker monster and notes that to defeat it, he must aim for the card symbol on its head. He recalls that he previously defeated a 3 of spades poker monster by shooting its card symbol, realizing that's their weakness. As he prepares to fight again, his gun suddenly crumbles into ash, and flames burst around his body, leaving him shocked and confused about what's happening. Now engulfed in flames, looks shocked but quickly realizes that the fire has formed a flaming sword in his hand. He faces off against the poker monster, whose heart symbol is also burning with fire. The scene ends with his surprised expression, indicating a sudden realization or discovery about his new power. He wakes up after dying in the simulation, reflecting on what happened. He realizes that the weapon that killed him was made of fire, likely the poker monster's special ability. He notes that different card monsters have vastly different powers and strength levels. A message appears stating that the simulation has ended with no rewards or cards obtained. Curious, he wonders aloud if foresight simulations can actually provide rewards and what those might be. He reflects on his situation, realizing he'll have to wait until tomorrow to try again and hopefully obtain a card. He wonders whether earning a card in the simulation world could increase his lifespan but quickly dismisses the idea as unlikely. Determined yet uncertain, he prepares to move forward. He wonders about the true nature of the smoke pillars and the inverted zones inside them. He questions whether these zones also exist in the real world. To test his theory, he visits a warehouse, the same location from the simulation, but finds nothing unusual there. A chat conversation someone named Yueshin. Yueshin teasingly asks what he's doing, and he replies that he's playing a fun motion sensing game, though it's single player. Yueshin playfully reminds him to pay attention to her and jokes about being the boss in their relationship, ending with a flirtatious remark. Equipped with scavenged gear and armor, prepares for a dangerous challenge. He acknowledges the need to test his equipment but wants to ensure he's ready first to avoid being instantly killed upon activation. To properly prepare, he decides that the best way is to conquer the inverted zone within the foresight simulation. He enters the foresight simulation to prepare for upcoming challenges. During combat training, he successfully blocks a fiery attack with his shield and then charges forward, aiming for the enemy's weak spot, the poker symbol. He fiercely attacks an enemy, targeting its weak point marked by a flaming heart symbol. He strikes it multiple times with determination and rage, shouting, "Die," as he delivers the finishing blow. Delivers a powerful finishing strike, slicing through the enemy with precision. The enemy's body and red core shatter and disintegrate into glowing fragments, signifying its complete defeat. After defeating the enemy, its body shatters into glowing shards, leaving behind a red card marked with a heart symbol. The character collects it, and a notification appears: "You obtained mirror card, 6 hearts, fragment 1/6." He realizes that the item he obtained is only a fragment of a card and wonders why. As more enemies appear, he deduces that the 6 hearts card is divided into 6 parts, meaning he must defeat 5 more foes to complete it. Preparing for battle, he readies his sword and shield to continue the fight. The charges fearlessly into battle against multiple enemies. Motivating himself, he shouts that there's nothing to fear, even if he dies, he can restart. With renewed determination, he confronts the flaming, heart-marked foes head-on. During the battle, the character is struck by a flaming attack and feels intense pain. Shocked, he realizes that even though he's in a simulation, the pain isn't disabled. Despite the agony, he pushes through and continues fighting. As he fights through pain and exhaustion, the character reflects bitterly on his situation. He realizes that the future demands constant combat and suffering despite living in what's supposed to be a civilized world. Frustrated by the brutality of survival, he laments that all he wants is to live peacefully like an ordinary person. Determined to adapt, the protagonist resolves to just survive. Accepting the harsh reality of his world, he decides to abandon his old ways and fully embrace the brutality required to live on, no matter how savage it becomes. He walks forward with determination, having accepted his new brutal reality. His demeanor hardens, showing that he's ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead with unwavering resolve. Confirms he has defeated all 6 monsters and successfully gathered all 6 card fragments, completing his mission and holding the fully restored card in his hand with a sense of accomplishment. He obtains the mirror card, 6 hearts, but since he already has a life-bound card, it becomes a one-time use item. The card allows him to form a flame weapon at the cost of part of his lifespan. He also gains a simulated foresight lifespan, which confuses him. He wonders if it only exists within the foresight simulation. If he can bring the 6 hearts card's power into reality but realizes there's no way to confirm until the simulation ends. Determined to keep going, he decides to use his remaining stamina to find another smoke pillar of the same level to continue progressing. Prepares for his next simulation run but is shocked to see many new smoke pillars appearing across the city in a short time. Realizing something unusual is happening, he decides to move to a higher vantage point to investigate the situation. Shocked, he looks out over a cityscape filled with ominous black smoke or shadowy energy rising from numerous buildings. Realizing the scale of the threat, he exclaims in alarm, "There are way too many," indicating that a large number of enemies or dangerous presences have appeared all at once. The atmosphere is tense and foreboding, emphasizing a sudden, overwhelming crisis. He observes that the mysterious black smoke pillars are appearing rapidly and without stopping. He notices something unusual: the smoke pillars are converging toward the center of the city, specifically around a large commercial tower. The main pillar there has grown to more than 10 times its original size. Realizing this, the character concludes that to understand the truth behind these phenomena, he must investigate the inverted zone. Deduces that the commercial tower at the center of H city holds the key to the mysterious events. As he sits down to observe, he resolves to find out what this phenomenon will ultimately become. He notes that, given how quickly the dark smoke pillars are spreading and converging, the truth behind them will soon be revealed. The scene ends with him staring intently at the massive, ominous tower surrounded by swirling black smoke. He sits on a rooftop, watching the massive dark smoke pillars surrounding the city. As he focuses on the commercial tower at the center, his attention is drawn to a strange, glowing red light emanating from it. The moment feels tense and mysterious, suggesting that the red light is a key clue or signal related to the strange phenomena engulfing the city. The cityscape tilts dramatically, showing a distorted or inverted view of the buildings, emphasizing the strange and unstable nature of the environment. Realizing something significant, the character leaps decisively into action, likely heading toward the red light or the source of the anomaly to uncover the truth behind the mysterious, inverted zone. He moves forward. He suddenly notices a change in his hand. It begins to transform, glowing ominously. The transformation progresses rapidly, revealing a monstrous, eye-like form with a spade symbol and the number 3 marked on it. Despite this shocking mutation, the character remains composed, his expression calm and resolute, suggesting he expected this change or is ready to face what it means. That the simulation the character experienced has ended, granting him a complete mirror card, Heart Zone, as a reward. However, his life-bound card's XP cap is reduced by 10%. He analyzes the changes to his stats, noticing that while his lifespan technically increased, the gain is minimal. Still, he's pleased that he can now access this new ability. When he tries to use the new card, a message appears stating his card rank is too low to carry it, leading him to conclude that he must level up further to unlock its full power. He reflects on the simulation he just experienced, realizing how drastically different it was from reality. There were apocalyptic scenes and smoke pillars in the simulation, but none in the real world. However, as he looks out the window, he's shocked to notice a faint smoke pillar rising over the city. This discovery makes him question whether the phenomena from the simulation are starting to appear in reality too. He notices that the smoke pillars he saw earlier have vanished and wonders if something is stopping them from spreading. He realizes that the catastrophic scenes from the simulation might actually be real events, but in the simulation, there were no people to stop the chaos. He concludes that without anyone to suppress them, the disasters in the simulation spread uncontrollably. He decides to investigate the location where he previously saw the smoke pillar. He leaves his room and heads into the city, eventually arriving at the area where the smoke had appeared, confirming that he's in the right place. Overhears a conversation between two people, one of whom mentions a mirror, saying it's their fate as part of it. Curious, the protagonist wonders what mirror means but is quickly noticed. One of the people angrily tells him to leave, and he apologizes before walking away. He wonders if Mirror is an organization responsible for preventing the spread of the mysterious smoke pillars. He observes that newly formed pillars are being eliminated but questions what happened to the original ones that existed since the beginning in the simulation world. The questions why the smoke pillars appear only in the simulation and not in reality, wondering if the simulation world holds special properties or if something is concealing the truth in reality. Determined to uncover the mystery, he decides to revisit the abandoned warehouse. The scene then cuts to him chatting online with someone named Yueshin, where he jokingly brings up the topic of the world ending, and she responds playfully to lighten the mood. A man is angrily confronting and holding another man by the hair, who is gagged and lying on the ground. The aggressor says, "Don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for joining Star Cluster, without knowing what we're really about." Suddenly, the scene shifts as the aggressor hears footsteps approaching and realizes, someone's here. A man outside a building overhears the name, Star Cluster, and realizes it's another organization linked to the inverted zone. Inside, the aggressor continues tormenting the bound man, telling him that it's his birthday and his lifespan is already depleted, meaning he'll die today. Smirking, he adds that the victim might as well contribute something, then violently attacks him with a knife. After brutally attacking his victim, the aggressor mocks him, saying that no backup plans will avenge him. He explains that with no lifespan left, everyone will soon forget he ever existed. Blood pools on the ground as the man dies, while another person secretly watches the scene unfold from a nearby window. The attacker stands over his victim's lifeless body, blood pooling on the floor beneath. As the blood spreads, a glowing square of light forms around the body. The man steps back, watching coldly as the eerie light surrounds the corpse, suggesting something supernatural or ritualistic is happening. After the murder, the glowing square intensifies, emitting beams of blue light and strange energy. The killer watches with a satisfied smirk as the light grows brighter and begins to pulse. Soon, the glowing area radiates power across the room, indicating that some kind of ritual or activation has been successfully completed. The observer from earlier reveals himself, realizing that the glowing area is an inverted zone, a supernatural space that activates through a human sacrifice. He initially came just to investigate, but upon seeing the zone form, he decides he must act quickly, or he'll lose the chance to obtain the valuable poker cards hidden inside. Analyzes the situation, realizing he can't directly enter the inverted zone alongside the powerful man who activated it. He notes that the man's confidence implies great strength, and following him recklessly could mean death. However, staying outside offers no chance to steal the valuable poker cards either. Torn between danger and opportunity, he wonders what his next move should be. The man who entered the zone observes his surroundings and notes that a powerful, fully completed attack card has manifested in this lower zone 31. He realizes that it makes sense why this inverted zone had been hidden by those who came before, its value and danger are immense. The environment around him begins to distort and shift, signaling the zone's activation. The man inside the inverted zone plans his next move, deciding to target middle zone 31 next. He acknowledges that such an easy zone won't come again, but he's confident that conquering it will raise his power and authority. With a sinister smirk, he reveals his ruthless intent. After killing a few people, he believes he won't need to act cautiously anymore. The man suddenly reacts with realization and frustration, expressing that he has been irritated by certain women for a long time. As he speaks, he begins to rise into the air, glowing with energy, before flipping upside down, a sign that he's entering or being drawn into the inverted zone. The blue-haired man descends into the inverted zone but is immediately ambushed. He, determined and fierce, declares that if he must face brutality, he'll respond in kind, solving problems through brute force. He then lands a powerful, lightning-charged strike, injuring the blue-haired man. The man is shocked after being attacked, realizing there are other people in the inverted zone. He lands another powerful strike against him and reflects that upon entering this strange world, he has nothing, starting completely from scratch. Stands over his defeated opponent, realizing he must fight relentlessly to achieve his goals. Showing no mercy, he justifies his actions by declaring that his enemy was not a good person and feels no regret for taking him down. A man grips a weapon tightly as a voice or inner monologue tells him to consider himself already dead. Saying that the King of Hell is granting him one final chance to return to life, a chance he must value greatly. The mood is tense and resolute, suggesting he's preparing for a life-or-death confrontation. The standing man observes his fallen opponent and notices something strange. The injured man's wounds have stopped worsening and are starting to heal. He suspects that the man is protected by some kind of magical card or ability. Realizing this, he concludes that even if they attack again, it won't make any further difference. Examines a poker card he retrieved from his fallen opponent and notes that their mission is complete since they've successfully taken the cards. He then orders his team to clean up the scene and leave quickly, signaling the end of their operation. The man starts to leave. He suddenly stops, realizing they can't just walk away yet. He decides to stay and find a way to monitor what happens next, wanting to see how the situation will develop further. Blue-haired man regains consciousness, realizing his injuries have healed but the pain still lingers. Confused, he wonders how he got so badly hurt in what should have been a low-level area. He recalls being ambushed and having all his cards stolen, acknowledging that if he hadn't made a backup using someone else's ability, he would likely be dead. Blue-haired man angrily discusses the ambush with his companion. When asked if he saw the attacker, he says he only caught a brief glimpse but is confident he'd recognize the person if they met again. Furious, he vows revenge, warning that the attacker shouldn't let him find out who they are. A man monitors a group of 3 individuals through a screen. Observing them carefully, he concludes that they are a potential threat. Deciding it's best to avoid them for now before they become stronger, he also notes another concern, an organization known as Star Cluster. He reflects that stolen cards don't extend his lifespan. To live longer, he must personally enter the inverted zone and defeat poker monsters. He reviews his cards. 6 of Hearts, absorbs flames to create melee weapons, consuming 0.5 lifespan. 9 of Clubs, heals injuries while stationary, consuming 0.5 lifespan. 8 of Clubs, neutralizes attacks and converts them into healing, also consuming 0.5 lifespan. Notes that besides his lifebound card, he now possesses 3 additional cards. He plans to safely explore new areas by first testing everything within the simulation world before acting in reality. Confident in this strategy, he decides to continue using his lifebound card to locate and investigate new inverted zones. He receives an unexpected phone call and wonders who could be contacting him at that moment. The caller, who appears anxious and has injured hands, repeatedly urges him to answer. After several rings, the man finally picks up and says, "Hello?" A woman nervously calls the man, revealing that he once saved her. She explains that after returning home, her skin turned an abnormal pale gray, though hospital tests showed nothing unusual. Despite others saying she's fine, she feels something is wrong and asks if he's experienced similar strange symptoms. The man is puzzled and repeats, "Pale skin?" he realizes something unusual is happening that he's unaware of. Concerned, he decides to meet the woman in person to understand her condition better. She agrees and says she's near the place where he saved her, offering to send her location. Meanwhile, on his phone, he receives affectionate and confused messages from someone named Yueshin, who wonders why he hasn't replied. The man replies to Yueshin's messages, apologizing for being too busy. She responds flirtatiously, making him uncomfortable, so he ends the chat. Afterwards, he wonders how she ended up acting this way, questioning if it's due to exposure to a smoke pillar or because she entered the inverted zone. Looks at his reflection in the mirror, nervously wondering if he'll change like others who entered the inverted zone. He examines himself closely, trying to reassure himself that he still looks normal. Notices that his skin looks much paler than it does in the mirror, making him realize something is wrong. He begins to fear that he might be affected by the same mysterious condition as others and urgently decides that he needs to find the woman connected to the incident. A hooded figure walks down an alley, repeatedly muttering, "I'll be fine," as if trying to reassure themselves. However, dark red cracks begin to appear on their body, hinting that something sinister or uncontrollable is happening to them. He meets the hooded woman in an alley. She nervously greets him, claiming she'll be fine. He asks when she first noticed something was wrong and admits he might be experiencing the same condition. Suddenly, the woman insists there's nothing wrong with her as dark red energy begins to surge from her body, showing that she's losing control. The woman fully loses control as dark energy bursts from her chest, forming a glowing red core. She repeatedly insists there's nothing wrong with her, but the protagonist looks on in shock. Suddenly, a massive explosion or shockwave erupts, tearing through the nearby city streets with immense force. He rushes through the city in a panic, confused by the sudden chaos unfolding around him. He questions what is happening and why, struggling to understand how the woman transformed into something dangerous as he races toward the scene. A dark, shadowy energy explodes onto the street, shocking nearby bystanders. A massive sphere marked with a spade symbol appears on a building, and people stare in confusion as one man exclaims, "What is going on?" while chaos unfolds around them. Buildings suddenly explode as a terrifying creature with a giant eye and tendrils appears. The protagonist realizes the woman has transformed into a spade 3 poker monster, far larger and more powerful than those seen before. Despite the chaos, he rushes forward, determined to handle the situation. The monstrous spade 3 poker monster charges a powerful attack and unleashes dark tendrils that strike across the street, impaling and dragging multiple people. The protagonist is also caught by one of the tendrils, struggling desperately to break free from its grip. Struck in the abdomen by the monster's attack, leaving a glowing hole through his body. At the same time, several other people nearby are also impaled in the same way, their bodies lifted helplessly into the air. Panic spreads as the crowd witnesses the chaos and begins fleeing in terror. Braces himself and runs toward the monstrous creature. Dark, shadowy tendrils lash out from the monster, but he pushes forward with determination. As he charges, his expression turns fierce, ready to confront the creature head-on despite its overwhelming power. He wonders why a woman turned into a poker monster and questions if everyone who enters the inverted zone meets the same fate. Fear creeps in as he considers whether he might also transform. Suddenly, he notices the fog around him has grown dense and ominous, catching him off guard. He falls to the ground and realizes that the area is engulfed by a massive smoke pillar. Observing it from above, he deduces that these pillars might form when people enter the inverted zone and transform into poker monsters, altering the environment around them. Notices that something is wrong with his surroundings. No matter how much he runs forward, the scenery remains the same. Realizing this, he understands that he's trapped in a loop, merely running in place instead of making any progress. Realizes he's trapped inside a smoke pillar, a mysterious phenomenon that can imprison anyone within it indefinitely unless it's dispersed. The dark swirling energy around him confirms the danger of being caught in this supernatural zone. Several people lying on the ground with holes in their chests, suggesting a deadly confrontation or aftermath of a powerful attack. Chaos erupts as people are attacked by a monstrous entity. The protagonist realizes he's too weak to fight back and decides to hide instead. He plans to wait until specialists who handle smoke pillars arrive to deal with the threat, while a nearby fire intensifies the urgency of the situation. People trapped inside the smoke pillar are dying as chaos and panic spread. Survivors outside are terrified, helplessly watching as buildings are engulfed in flames, and the entire area is consumed by fire and destruction. The man watches the city consumed by flames, filled with worry and frustration. Amid the inferno, a strange creature stands calmly, saying, "I'll be fine." The man wonders anxiously how much time has passed since the chaos began. How much longer until help arrives, realizing that everyone around him has already been killed. A strange, floating rock-like creature with a glowing eye marked by a spade symbol insists, "I'm fine, right?" showing signs of fear and instability. Looks determined as he activates an ability called Six of Hearts, which costs 0.5 of his lifespan. A flaming card appears, and fiery energy engulfs him as he wields a weapon, preparing to fight amid the burning chaos. Surrounded by flames, unleashes a powerful fiery attack toward a burning building. His energy surges as he strikes with immense force, and he soon spots someone falling from above, prompting him to react quickly. A massive dark entity emerges amid destruction, prompting the man to unleash his fiery power. Channeling intense flames through his weapon, he acknowledges that he had no choice but to use the power of the card. Surrounded by massive flames, the man realizes the fire works to his advantage. He absorbs the heat to amplify his strength and the power of his card, the Six of Hearts, before unleashing a furious attack with a shout of "Die." As the building burns intensely, the protagonist faces a shadowy enemy amidst the flames, gripping his fiery weapon with determination. He refuses to give up, declaring, "I won't die here like this." He launches a powerful fiery attack against the shadowy creature. The flames engulf the area, and the two forces clash fiercely, their silhouettes illuminated by the blazing fire. Delivers a final, powerful strike that destroys the monstrous enemy. Exhausted but victorious, he catches his breath as a notification appears. He has defeated the assimilation monster and gained 30% experience. Confirms his victory, realizing he got lucky in the simulation world. He acknowledges that without the fire, he couldn't have handled the Six of Hearts poker monster. Suddenly, a mysterious voice remarks on his feat, defeating a level 3 assimilation monster that usually requires a much higher level entrant, surprising the protagonist, who wonders who's speaking. A confident man approaches him, asking if he's a wild entrant with a life-bound card and what his level is. He then invites him to join his group called Star Cluster. The man introduces himself as Meng Zhe, affiliated with Star Cluster.